Okay, now to kick off the next session, one of the things that we're always very keen to look at GEI is what's happening at a much broader field. We are in a global industry, festivals all over the world, and we want to learn more from festivals that perhaps in areas that we don't necessarily think about. So I'm delighted to introduce our next panel, Global Perspective on Local Action, and to hand you over to Holger Schmidt, who will be chairing the panel.
Hello everybody, nice to be here again at GEI this year. I'm Holger, I'm from a very fancy place in the south called Germany, and I'm very glad to host this session with 4 speakers talking about running festivals in places many of us might not have been yet. And we will run, this is Jason, Peter, Steve and Mikael, and they will introduce themselves, I guess, better than I can do that. And we would start on my very right, on your very left, with Jason.
Hi there, my name is Jason. I work with Fuji Rock Festival in Japan. Basically, we're a music promoter in Japan. We've been going since 1984, putting on bands, about 150 shows, well, 150 tours a year. Mainly foreign artists, but also do work with some domestic Japanese artists. We started the festival '97. It's now 20th anniversary this year, which we're looking forward to. It's not been easy. It's not always a money maker, so anybody's out there thinking, oh, let's get in the festival business, make some cash. Don't bother. We've had that idea from the beginning of make a festival in a beautiful place. So location, location, location. So our current location, which started in 1999, is in a ski resort. So in the summertime, ski resorts are empty, they don't do anything. So we've got this wonderful infrastructure there with a big hotel. There's electricity, we do provide the generators, but essentially there's transportation links, etc., etc. So, and the town where we have it is more than happy to have us once a year to bring in some income for that 1 month or so that we're there.
Off season.
Off season, yeah. There used to be a golf course, but I think 7 years ago they decided there's no point in opening the hotel and the golf course and spending the money to groom the land. So now the audience camps on what was then the fairways and the greens. So there is some, on a very slopey campsite, there are some quite level bits where there used to be greens.
How many people go to Fuji Rock?
It's like 40,000 a day. It's a 3-day festival with a 4th day is like the opening day of people getting in. So Thursday,
weekend.
Friday, Saturday,
It's a
Sunday.
weekend. Is over the weekend?
It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's 2.5 hours by car from Tokyo, so it's not easy to get to. Transportation for the audience is okay, but for us as a festival promoter, it costs an absolute fortune to truck everything up that far. So we'd be much wiser to do it in a city environment, but of course that's not who we are in Fuji Rock.
It was about location, you'd say. Yeah. Next one, Peter.
Hi, I'm Peter, how are you? As you can see with this short sleeve shirt, I don't come from here. I'm from Australia, and I live in the subtropics, which is where Bluesfest occurs, where the rainforest actually comes right down to the sea, where you can actually get up in the morning before the festival starts and go surfing or ride surfboards. We've got 2 of the best breaks in Australia, 2 of the best 8 breaks in Australia occurring right where the festival is. So, way back, many years ago, we were a 27-year-old festival. The area where I live was where the communes were built by the countercultural people, the hippies, of which I was definitely one. And so the area, which is Byron region, Nimbin, where you can actually buy marijuana on the streets, not legally, but you can buy it, because it's grown locally, called Mullumbimby Madness. So our event occurs at a place where Australians have always loved to go, because where the hippies went, it didn't take that much long before the money followed. And so you can buy a house in my area for 6-7 million quid. Of course, it'll be by the beach. But just giving you an idea of this little town, 8,000-9,000 people, we get 1.5 million tourists a year. It's like we're always under siege. And then moving on to my event, which started in a nightclub in 1990, we went outdoors in 93, lost our shirt, and but learned how to do it. We were a blues festival. We want to see blues touring and coming down to Australia and seeing all the greats, you know, the B.B. Kings and the Muddy Guys, and back then even the Muddy Waters and the John Lee Hookers. And so we grew out of that, but we realised pretty early, after going outdoors, that you can't over-specialise. If you do, your event will only draw X amount of people. Maybe you can in bigger markets, but there's only 24 million people in Australia, and it's bigger than Europe. So for that reason, people have to travel long distances, and we greatly widened our event. The artists playing this year include Kendrick Lamar, Noel Gallagher, just to give you an idea of what we do. But then again, you can hear Brian Wilson do Pet Sounds. Tom Jones will be there. All sorts of people, and artists like Joe Bonamassa come and play exclusively, as does the National, Tedeschi Trucks Band. I could go on. There's well over 100 acts, hundreds of shows, 5-day events. We get about 25,000 people Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we go 5 days, Thursday and Mondays, a bit less depending on who's playing. Tend to put younger acts on the Thursday, where Kendrick will be headlining with D'Angelo, and pretty strong day. Kamasi Washington will be on. So I guess, I don't know, what do we like? I mean, are we a mini Glastonbury, or are we a bigger Montreux? I don't know, something like that. And certainly when you get round to the facts of the environment, we bought our site. I bought the site. It's my festival. It's 120 hectares and approximately 40 hectares of bushland. And we've got lots of koalas, so we've got things like koala programs. You know, we've got endangered froglets on the site. A lot of things that when you get beyond just the recycling or food distribution, you know, what's left over after the event and what you do with it, there are other issues. We have an Indigenous festival occurring within our event because that's a social justice issue. Things, you know, like promoting reconciliation in Australia, you know, black and white people coming together more. So I'd be happy to talk about any of that, and certainly won quite a few Greener Festival Awards, and I guess we're pretty much thought of as being one of the top 2 festivals, along with Splendour in the Grass. Many of the others don't exist anymore, unfortunately, but we have survived.
Thank you very much. How many people go to the festival?
Well, we get approximately 115,000 would be about an average over the 5-day festival. So
altogether, or
altogether, yeah.
Per day, it's
it's like 20,000 approximately a day, and a bit more on the main day is Friday, Saturday.
I see. So I see if anybody has time in March, 24th to 28th, still tickets available for...
Yes, you come and get warm.
Yeah. I could use some sun. Next one's up. Steve. You run a festival in a very exotic place from this point of view. And Steve will show us a bit on the screen as well.
Thanks, Holger. I'm Steve Taylor. I'm from Glasgow, but I'm not going to talk about Glasgow today. I'm going to try and be clever and show you some pictures of the Lake of Stars Festival in Malawi. It's just some pictures that'll run in the background, hopefully to whet your appetite for Malawi. They're all just a bit of general Malawi. This is our site for the Lake of Stars Festival. Now, yeah, I probably am looking for a volunteer or two this year. If you, by the end of this, you might want to form an orderly queue to volunteer to help. I was asked 2 years ago by Will Jameson, the organiser, if I would be a sustainability manager for Lake of Stars. I took about 3 seconds to say yes. On the basis that I am sustainability manager for a couple of festivals in Scotland, and I'd previously worked in Africa. He didn't know anyone else with that combination, so I got the job. And it's been brilliant. I've worked there the last 2 years. But what was interesting, I turned up end of September, turned up a week before the event started, and I didn't know what I'd be doing. And it's, on the one hand, it's great, it takes you out of your comfort zone, it's a bit of a challenge. What is sustainability in Malawi? Because I'm pretty sure it won't be the same as a festival in Scotland. So I did what all good researchers do. I arrived in Malawi a week before the festival, and I went to the pub. I found a nice little bar in Chipoka village, and I asked a couple of the guys standing in the bar, tell me a little bit about the Lake of Stars festival. And the first guy said, you know, the big problem, you Mazungos, you white guys, you come here, put your festival on, make your money, and then you leave, and us in the community, we get nothing. So I said, well, yeah, that's my remit really. I'll see what I can do. And it made me realise that sustainability in this context is much more about the social and the community arm of sustainability, whereas in Scotland I do focus a lot more on the environmental arm. So it was interesting, it was a challenge. What could we do? The first thing, I don't want to claim all the credit because Will Jameson had organised an outreach programme, but in the week I had before the event started, we were able to develop it, make it much bigger, involve a lot more people in the community. We did things like take some of the artists from the festival out to the community. We organised a football tournament. We took a cricket set and taught kids to play cricket. They didn't quite get the rules, they made their own rules, but that made it even more fun.
Would be the same in Germany.
It would be. Working with the community, involving local people, and just for example, we got a small theatre group from London who played on the main stage, on the small stage. They went out to the village, played in front of the chief's house. We had about 30 children that we were playing in front of, but the laughter was so infectious. You just saw a stream of kids running from, just coming out of the village and joining in, and by the end we had about 100 people there. And then at the end, the chief called for the local village dancers to come, and if I've got these slides right, somewhere you'll see pictures of people in scary masks who were dancing in front of us. But that was very much involving the community. Secondly, I spoke to the headmaster of one of the orphan schools in the area, and he said very proudly that he practiced permaculture. And this was interesting because in Malawi, food is grown using fertiliser, imported fertiliser. There's no concept of compost or what goes out of the ground should go back into the ground. But this one guy, he was into it. He'd heard about permaculture, and he actually had a compost heap. And I said, well, how would you like the food waste from the festival? So he ended up being my waste contractor. He took all the waste away. The food waste was all composted. There's less restrictions than we have in this country. You can even take the chicken bones, meat fats, that can be composted. We've got stricter regulations here due to BSE and foot and mouth disease. But in Africa with a hot temperature, you can compost pretty easily. I went back a year later to see how well it had worked, and he very proudly showed me some of the crops that had been grown with the food waste from Lake of Stars. So a lovely story there where we saw our waste actually put to good use. We also realised that we generate a lot of plastic bottles from water. The volunteer staff at the event drank a lot of water. We gave the bottles to local children in the village, and they got a 20 kwacha, which is not very much, a 20 kwacha sale on the bottle. I have to admit, they went to local people to make homebrew, but for the kids, they got 20 kwachas, they were delighted, and it meant that the bottles were getting reused. Also, if we hadn't have done that, most of the bottles would have been crushed where they don't have that reuse value and would have ended up in landfill. So I was very pleased with that. The other thing, we went to the orphan. There's 2 orphan schools in the area, and this year we had 7 students from Napier University came out to get a bit of experience of a festival in Africa, and I took them to the schools and we just worked with the kids, and it was great fun and a great experience. But what they noticed, the first school, the children had desks. The second school, the children all sat on the floor and didn't have desks. And they made this comment, and it's one of the things that I think has pleased me most. I've now, as of January, I've gone back to those students and said, have a look at this picture. And it's desks in the second school. And the desks were all made out of the stage, the main stage and the smaller stage from Lake of Stars. And we gave all the wood, we gave it to local carpenters, it's all been done local labour, and it's been turned into desks and a wooden play frame for the children in the orphan school. So I think it's a fantastic experience. Looking through my slides, I've just reminded myself that one of the other aspects that we did was try and generate more economic opportunities for people from the village. And we allowed them to set up some stalls outside the gate to the festival. Now, the festival is targeted at wealthy Africans and people passing through Africa. It's a small crowd, only 5,000 people. But the people in the village, which is a population of about 5,000, a lot of them can't afford to go into the festival. But how can we help them get some money out of it? And we allowed them to set up a village selling food, curios, clothing, and that's just outside the festival gates. So they got a lot of passing trade from festival goers, from people like myself who realised that the food they sold was much better than you could get inside the festival. There's a picture there of one of the scary dancers. But in doing that, we enabled the people in the village to make a bit of money from the festival goers and ensure that some of the economic benefits accrued locally and weren't taken out of the country. So in summary, compared to some of the other festivals I work at, it was very much about working with the community. A little bit of economic benefits for the community, certainly involving them and letting them feel part of the festival, and smaller scale the environmental benefits with the community. And obviously I've been talking too slowly because I still have one last slide to go.
Thank you very much. Steve, I got simple questions. How long is the festival? How many people go there? What is the program like?
It's an arts festival, so it's not just musical, although the main attraction is the music. It attracts about 5,000 people. In the African context, that's pretty good. There's not a lot of disposable income in Malawi. It actually is officially the poorest country in the world. Which surprises me, but supposedly World Bank tell us the poorest. So there's not much disposable income. A lot of the people who go are from South Africa or other parts of Africa. So we only attract a crowd of about 5,000. It runs from Friday to Saturday. And alongside the music, there's lots of talks, general arts, there's poetry sessions, reading, and working with African cultural work. It takes place in a hotel with a conference centre, so there's rooms where people can actually go to lectures on various aspects of arts. And it does provide a link, and Scotland, I'm actually very proud of the fact that Scotland has taken a big interest in Malawi and gives a lot of money to Malawi, but has also paid for artists to go out to the festival. So this year we had Young Fathers playing on the main stage. The year before we had Stanley Odd playing on the main stage, but we also had a poet, an artist, a woman who runs a Ceilidh festival in Scotland. She went out and did a little bit of dance teaching, which was great. So it's slightly more than just the music, but it is very small scale.
And who's the promoter for that festival?
The promoter is Will Jameson, who's from London, worked in Malawi when he was young, thought, I fancy doing this, and all credit to him, because it's not easy to do, as anyone here will know. Putting on a festival is hard work, but doing it in Africa, you have extra challenges as well. But it's been going for now 11 years, so he's done a great job.
So the Malawian, is it Malawian? I don't know.
Yeah.
Malawian. People from the region are able to go there. Is it how much is the ticket compared to what we pay here for an arts festival? The
reality is, for the average Malawian villager, the ticket is several days' income, and it's not practical to even try and pretend we target the local village. What we did this year, and again an initiative I was very pleased with, on the Thursday we put on a special show for the children in the village. And it's one of the great things that I've done, because you're suddenly an absolute hero. I went around all the schools in the area and said, I've got free tickets, would you like some? And we invited all the school children. They came on the Thursday. We had a small event. It was supported by various United Nations and other national programs. There was a big sign up saying "Condomize It," which is all part of the HIV program. And I've given it a big black T-shirt with pink writing saying "Condomize It," which I've talked about wearing that one out in the Glasgow evening. I've never done it yet.
Now this is the point where my not being a native speaker being a native speaker causes problems. What does it mean?
I walked into that one, didn't I? HIV is a massive problem, and that's the reason why there's 2 orphan schools in the area.
I think I get it. Okay, I have the feeling we will come back to this again, and not to the economizing, to the festival. Next one up is Michal Kaschak, who is a famous drummer in a pan-European show band.
Holger is a bass player, that's why he's saying that.
And he's running a festival in Slovakia, where he's coming from. Tell us a bit about that.
Thanks. So hi, I'm Michal. I do Pohoda Festival in Slovakia. We started in 1997, and Jason described our festival very nicely because it's nearly the same. We do 3 days, capacity is 30,000 per day, and we are in July, so it's very similar to what you said about your festival. So this year we celebrate 20th anniversary.
And we have a clip.
Yes, there is a short clip, and I can speak during the clip a little bit about the festival. The crucial thing for us in maybe I will start with this. This is our site. It's an airport, so we have to bring everything to the festival site. But we are trying to use as many ecological solutions as possible. We digged 2 water walls, for example, so we use processed water for not drinking. All water is from our 2 wells. We use bicycles during the whole construction, during the whole festival, during the dismantling. The whole stuff is on bikes. And we also pushed artists to use bikes, so when they go to stage, they go by bike. We have many NGOs in the middle of the festival. We have a big NGO sector with 40 plus NGOs. We have many debates, we have many workshops, and what I'm proud of is that it's very well attended. In the middle of the festival we have a field, like this meadow with flowers, so it's also a symbolic thing, and it's like that also at the end of the festival, so people are not destroying our beautiful meadow. We use reusable cups, and it's fantastic. We use local suppliers. I'm very sorry for these images for all vegetarians here, but we have also many meat eaters at the festival.
What tofu chicken?
Yes. Thank you, Holger, for your help. And we are trying to keep the site all the time clean, so because we don't want people to throw away garbage in their life, but also in the festival. This is our volunteer camp, and I don't know why toilets again, but it's very important. And a hedgehog, we want also that hedgehog to be happy at the end of the festival. So this is our thing.
Great. So the festival is at an airport, which then there's no traffic, and after the
No, it used to be military airport. What is a nice story to change military airports to culture venues, and everything. If I would like to be more serious, everything started in 1989 when the regime changed in our part of the world, and till 1989 nobody paid attention for something like ecological environmental issues, how strange it looks like, because the regime was pretending that it's doing all the best for inhabitants. It was not like that. And what was nice also before that, activists, environmental or ecological activists were very important in the process of putting down the regime. And they were always connected with one important part of art. So it's very natural that we are connected also now when we do our festival. So that change also allowed us to do something like free festival. And since the beginning, since the second year, we have NGOs. So we started to work with NGOs in 1998 because the first year was just funny concert.
With how many people did you? When did you start?
We started in 1997,
1996.
It's very naive because we were musicians, so we wanted to do something in our city, and we were very naive. We started without security. We wanted to be the first festival without security. It ended up with a full site, but for it was about 2,000 people with 140 sold tickets. So because we had friends on gates, you know, and our we are a small city, so friends were welcoming friends.
all on the guest list.
Yes, we are so happy you are here. And then when we said, okay, so it's full, let's count the tickets. We say, oh. So it was the first year, and then we continued, and we have security now. I'm very sorry for that, but we do.
And it was organized by the musicians.
Yes, only
themselves.
me, one friend of mine and me, we did it. We were part of alternative music scene in the city, and we started it.
I used to run a festival in Germany, which was started in the public park by musicians as well, and the first edition was with 3,000 people in a wooden stage. We never made it to charging admission, but in the end we had a one-day event with 150,000 people. So I know the feeling a bit of people turning up. You said that you from the beginning already you had the idea and a philosophy of thinking about the environment or sustainable issues, sustainability related issues. What do you think that Slovakian people expect nowadays? Do you think there was a change through the festival and through the times from '97 up to now, about within these 20 years, what they expect from a festival on the sustainability side, like socially and maybe environmentally?
I'm sure that they would expect a festival without security again. but anyway, festival changed, but I hope that the basic philosophy behind the festival is still the same. What I'm very proud of is that we want our visitors to like the event and to like the site. When I was first time at Glastonbury, I was amazed with the Leave No Trace philosophy, and we did it also before, but we didn't name it. But I liked it a lot, and to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed now when I see pictures from some festivals after the festivals that they look like dumping grounds. They don't look like post-culture event site. At our festival, so I'm proud of that people care about the festival and they care about the site. I can make an example. When we find a tent on camping site, left tent, after the festival, we take a picture of the tent and we put it to Lost and Found. And it's about maybe, every year we find about 20 tents, 25, 30. We have full camping sites, totally full. And out of them we send back 50%, and the last 50% we send to some NGO or something like that. So we are very proud of this. Also, people in our camping sites, they separate their litter. We are giving them 2 bags for separation, and they do it. So very often when we are cleaning the camping site, only just 2 bags are waiting for us. So this is what I'm proud of. And we cooperate with NGOs. We have NGOs in the middle of the site, and we still want people to care about the site and, of course, about the event.
Great. One question to Jason. What I heard about Fuji Rock is, or about Japanese festivals is, it's cleaner when the people leave than when they came. So that's a myth.
I would say I've been to a lot of festivals, and I mean a lot of festivals because I'm over 50 now, and I've been going since Bath Festival back in 1971 or 68, whatever it was. Festivals are filthy, and people that go to festivals are slobs. And I'm not joking, I went to Reading once, there was a guy sitting there burning milk crates, plastic milk crates to get warm, and the toxic smoke coming out of it. It's disgusting. Fuji Rock is incredibly clean. I've been working with a company called AC Japan, who are an environmental group. and we man all the rubbish bins. So you get a rubbish bin, it'll be probably the size of this panel here, and you have baskets for each of the different items. Now in there, there'll be 2 or 3 people saying, oh no, that goes there, your chops just go here, the bottle tops go in this one, the labels of that go in there, the bottles over here, and then from there, after we've sorted it at source, so literally you come and you, unlike Glastonbury, which is they've got bins everywhere, and people they load them up and it's just falling over with rubbish. I mean, it's just Glastonbury bins leave no trace. Yeah, give me a break. So we man the bins, and then after the festival, we take these different products and then we recycle those ourselves. So we take all the plastic cups, the paper cups and paper dishes, which we monitor. So no one can bring their own dishes to the vendors. All have to use our provided dishes, so that they're proper recyclable, and they get turned into toilet paper for the following year. It's 70% of Japan is forested. It's like wilderness, but 40% of that is managed forests. But a lot of it's not managed anymore. And again, around Fuji Rock, there's big mountains, it's all beautiful forest, but a lot of the forest now needs managing. So we've been working with the local government and Forestry Commission to build boardwalks through the festival, so you can access by wheelchair and have these lovely walks through 2.5 miles long now through those, and that is all from all from chopping the wood down, cutting the boards, making the boardwalks. So it's all kind of a recyclable thing. We also use the trimmings for that to make the chopsticks, the disposable chopsticks that everyone uses. All the plastic bottles that we use are then recycled into staff jackets for the next year. So you get melted down, turned into a fabric, printed on the back, Fuji Rock Festival, and then all the staff get last year's bottle top jackets. All kinds of different ways. But the main thing is it's managed, and people recognise that if they drop something on the floor, everyone goes, oh my God. So I think every country should learn more about getting people to recycle and bring it. He says, they leave the 2 bags outside their tent for them to clean up. At Fuji, we wouldn't dare pick up somebody's rubbish from their tent. They're going to take it from their tent and bring it down. So at the end of the festival, are there any tents left in the campsite? No. People, if they don't want to take them home, they put the tent, they fold it up, they carry it down the hill, and they put it next to the rubbish bin. So when we want to pick up old tents, we pick them up in bags, already folded up, washed and cleaned by our audience staff.
It sounds quite nice. Very nice to me. One last question. Unfortunately, I of course would like to ask the audience, but we don't have the time for that because we're running very much out of time. So may I ask you, if you have questions to these gentlemen, ask within the lunch break. To them, you will have one, but I have one last question to Peter. I understood that where you run the festival is you have 1.5 million tourists coming to
Byron Bay. Yeah, we're located 15 minutes out of town.
Out of town. So, what do people expect from your festival? How to integrate in this to be integrated in this part of the country? How to care about the country?
Olga, can I ask you? Is this my last question?
Yeah.
Because I was going to talk about koalas.
Do.
And we've got a koala study going. And pardon me, I don't mean to do this, but we bought land only to find that there were koalas on it. And so we did an initial study with an ecological company that specializes in koala research, only to find there were so many koalas died because the first time a study was done, that's when you find all the diseased koalas. So in about a 6-month period, about 8 koalas died. Now, I was just mortified. I'm going, oh my God, I bought a site and I'm in the middle of this amazing thing where I'm going to lose all the koalas on the site. And I'm going to be called an ecological bandit. You know, a guy that never should have been stupid enough to buy a site and put a music festival on there. So what I did after that first study is I got the Koala Research Centre at the University of Queensland involved, and I said, I don't get this. Why are the koalas dying? And the researchers there, which include one gentleman who's Bill Ellis, who's pretty much thought to be the preeminent koala researcher in Australia, they came down and they said, well look, the first time you do a study, that's when you're going to find all the diseased koalas. In Australia we have this amazing situation where down south, koalas are almost in plague proportions, and yet in my part of the country they're endangered. And so, and disease is a very high instance of disease due to fragmented bushland, due to the fact that koalas can't easily move to other places and mate. And so, you get almost, I'm not going to say inbreeding, but you get genetic problems. So, okay, I'm a music promoter. I just need to say this to you, but I care. And so we started a study, and pardon me jumping into this, but time is fine. And we found, okay, what are we going to do here? Every time we found, you've all heard of the gentleman that died, probably called the crocodile hunter. Well, the Australian Wildlife Zoo is not too far from our site, and we take any diseased koala up there. And there are diseases. Without going into them, they suffer from eye diseases, diseases around their rump, which is chlamydia basically, and something that is almost a retrovirus, almost AIDS-like. Anyway, they're the 3 main ones. And so we started treating koalas over time, taking them up, and we lost a few. And then we'd see others, and we put GPS collars on them, which would break if anything gets snagged, to try to track them. What are they doing? Where are they going? Who are they mating with? It's very much like up the Seconia River when, what was that lady's name that went up there and studied the orangutans in the 70s?
Jane Goddard?
Yes. Nobody knew anything about orangutans back then. People thought that they were 2 different species, that the male one was different than the female because the male one's 4 or 5 times bigger. I've been up there. One starts coming near you, you're going to run. But anyway, my point is that over a number of years, and then we'd sit down with the researchers and go, well, why are we seeing these ones die? And then we started putting in photoelectric cameras so that if there's movement around that land, we see what's happening at night. And we figured out, well, there's wild dogs there, and they're a combination dingo and German shepherd. And then we started trapping them and humanely killing them. We haven't had a death from koala now for unexplained reasons in over 2 years. We are now, and it's not about saying we're the good guys. It's about getting a disease-free area of land. And we're not completely fragmented. We're on the edge of a national park. And if you can get a disease-free colony, then then they can make disease-free. You can build that colony. That's what we're doing. And we're the only study in Australia doing it, and the only event site that's got a registered koala plan management with the government. Only one. Matter of fact, there's none. Most councils don't even have one. And so to me, that you can, and I commend, and we do the recycling and things like that. But we have other responsibilities because of where we are. We've got endangered froglets on site too that we take care of. But the koalas is my big one, because in the end, if we can do this, and just 2 days ago I had the researcher saying to me, this koala that had chlamydia and has lost 2 pouch young, the one that she's got now looks like it's going to be okay, it's going to mature and leave. And just, you go through heartbreak, but then you look 6-7 years later and go, you see real results. And I'm passionate about it. I'm also passionate about doing a music festival and making a profit, because I wouldn't be here doing the koala study if we weren't.
If you say we, then you do it with a foundation of the festival, or is it a group of people, or?
No, I do it with our staff. We've got about 20 staff, and we are all passionate about it. Everybody's on the ground, you know.
But it's the festival staff?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not the office staff is not located on site, but yeah. So that if there's any incidences of seeing a wild dog, or if a koala comes to ground, and they normally come to ground for two reasons: they're either diseased, or it's a male. They can tell that there's a female somewhere that he's going to find them. And so that's another thing, is planting trees to create connectivity between areas of bushland so that koalas don't have to come to ground. And what we've got is an old tea tree farm site, you know, the Melaleuca. So we've tried out a lot of it in terms of trying to create corridors. And just go, okay, you know, you can buy an event site and then deal with the challenges that you have and attempt to create great outcomes. We've not there yet, but you were a long way along from finding all these koalas dying 7 years ago and not being able to really explain why.
Is it somehow received by the Australian authorities or others who might be responsible for the koalas in general? Do they recognize it? Do they?
Unfortunately not. No, a lot of the people in our area who feel that koalas are endangered and they care about it think that events like mine create more issues than they do solve problems, but we don't go out there and publish those studies because I don't think that that's something that I need to do, you know? Once we get to a point where we think, well, okay, we've got something we can put out to the scientific community, and that might take another 3, 4, 5 years, we will. But yes, of course you're going to always have opposition if you have endangered species on your site. People who care about it, as well-meaning as they are, they may not always be right, but you've got to accept that viewpoint. It's a valid one.
Thank you very much. So this somehow leads us over to the next session we will have here, which is about responsibility, and I see everybody on this table somehow taking responsibility for parts of their community, parts of their cultural life, and thank you very much for listening to us. Sorry for taking a little bit longer than planned. And Claire, do you have another question?
Actually, there's no time.
So,
But I do just want to say thank you to all.
thank you very much.